Mark Hale moved through the alien jungle with slow, tired steps. Smoke rose behind him where his small scout ship had crashed. The forest was filled with strange sounds, deep and wild, unlike anything on Earth. His uniform was torn and his arm hurt badly. He had only a broken beacon, a flare gun, and a few hours of daylight left. His mission had been simple: rescue a lost science crew. But the storm had thrown his ship down. Now he was alone on a planet no one had mapped. Every tree looked alive. Huge leaves folded as he passed, and glowing vines pulsed with light. The air smelled heavy, sharp, and a little sweet. His breathing was hard inside the damaged helmet. He looked up at the sky where dark clouds rolled like waves hiding the sun. His radio was silent. He didn't know that something was following him. High above in the branches, silent eyes watched. The Huntress Snarled was tracking a trespasser. Her people guarded this land for generations. No one entered the forest near the nesting grounds without her permission. She moved through the trees like wind, her body strong, her skin dark gray with faint blue lines that glowed under light. Her senses were sharper than a wolf's. She could smell the human from far away. But what made her pause was not the smell of metal or smoke, it was something familiar. The scent of her own nest. She froze, confused. No outsider should smell like that. It was the scent of her private dwelling, the place where she slept and kept her memories. How could a human carry that smell? Anger flared in her chest. It felt like an insult, a mockery. She leaped from branch to branch until she saw him. Mark stopped near a stream. He bent down to drink, his reflection wavering on the surface. A shadow fell across him. He turned just in time to see her drop from the trees. Before he could lift his flare gun, she pinned him to a tree with one strong arm across his chest. Her face was fierce, framed by black hair tied with bone rings. Her eyes were golden, glowing faintly in the dark. "Human," she growled. "Why do you smell like my nest?" Mark froze. The translator on his collar barely caught her words. He didn't know what she meant. I don't know what you're saying," he stammered. She leaned closer, her expression dark. "My nest," she repeated slowly. "My scent. It is on you. Tell me why." Mark's mind raced. Maybe the crash had spread something from the jungle near her home. Maybe his suit had picked up the scent when he crawled out of the wreck. "I crashed," he said. "Maybe your home was close to it." The wind, but she didn't listen. Her claws pressed lightly against his armor. Not enough to cut, but enough to warn him. She looked uncertain now, almost confused. The scent was real. Her instincts told her this human carried her mark. That should be impossible. Her kind bonded only through blood and scent inside the nest. She pushed away from him suddenly and stepped back. Mark raised his hands. "I'm not your enemy," he said softly. Her sharp ears twitched. The jungle grew silent. In that stillness, both felt the ground tremble. Leaves shook and a low roar rolled through the trees. Rakai turned fast. "Krenbees," she hissed. Out of the darkness came shapes, large as trucks, with thick scales and tusks. They hunted by sound and heat. They had smelled the crash too. Rakai drew her twin blades and crouched low. Mark aimed his flare gun, his heart pounding. The first beast charged. Rakai met it head-on, striking its side and rolling away as it crashed into a tree. Mark fired a flare into another's face. The red light blinded it for a second, and Rakai leaped on its back, driving her blade deep. Sparks and blood sprayed into the air. Another beast came from behind. Mark shouted and threw a burning stick from the wreckage. The smell of fire made the creatures hesitate. Rakai used that moment to finish them off with clean practice strikes. When the last one fell, the forest went quiet again except for their heavy breathing. Mark leaned against a tree, his chest heaving. His sleeve was torn, blood showing on his arm. Rakai stood over one of the beasts, her shoulders rising and falling. Her eyes met his. For a long time, neither spoke. Finally, she moved closer. "You fight well," she said in a low voice. "Thanks," Mark replied. "I had a good teacher." She looked down at his arm. "You bleed." He tried to laugh. "Yeah, it happens." She hesitated, then touched the wound gently with a claw. A few drops of her own blood from battle mixed with his. The moment she realized it, her eyes widened. Her people's customs said that shared blood carried meaning. It was part of how families and mates were marked in her culture. The scent would now be shared between them, faint but real. She pulled her hand back quickly, almost in panic. Shame heated her face. She had just tied her scent to this human without permission or intention. "No," she whispered to herself. "This cannot be." Mark didn't understand her reaction. "What's wrong?" he asked. She turned away. You are marked, she said softly. My scent is on you now. Others will smell it. I didn't mean to. Silence, she cut him off. It is done. Her voice shook slightly, not from anger, but from something deeper. She hated feeling confused, vulnerable. This human had not only trespassed her ground, but also now carried the scent of her nest. The elders would see it as shame, as weakness. She started to walk away, but then stopped. The jungle beyond the crash site burned faintly, smoke rising. Predators would come soon. She looked back at him, wounded, tired, alone, and sighed. You cannot survive here, she said quietly. Follow me, Mark hesitated. You're helping me now? Her golden eyes met his. If you die with my scent, the spirits will not forgive me, she said simply. He nodded. Then lead the way. They moved through the forest together. Rukai moved with speed and silence, and Mark tried his best to follow. Strange lights flickered under the leaves, and creatures with transparent wings watched them pass. The air grew cooler as they climbed a rocky path toward the hills. After an hour, they reached a cave hidden behind vines. Inside, the walls glowed faintly blue from minerals. Rukai motioned him to sit near a small fire pit. She crushed some glowing leaves and pressed them against his wound. The pain faded at once. You have strange medicine, he said. Old ways, she replied. My people learn from the forest. Mark watched her in the dim light. She looked fierce and proud, but there was also sadness in her eyes. He could see that she didn't want this bond. Thank you, he said quietly. She didn't answer. She turned her head away, pretending to check the cave entrance. Rest, she said. At dawn, we find a way for you to leave. He lay down near the fire, exhaustion finally winning. The jungle hummed outside. As his eyes closed, he thought he saw her sitting near the entrance, watching the stars beyond the vines, her expression torn between anger and curiosity. For the first time, she wondered what kind of being could fight beside her, bleed beside her, and still speak with such calm strength. The scent that once brought her shame now stirred a strange feeling she could not name. In the quiet cave, the alien huntress kept guard while the humans slept, unaware that this night had already changed both of their lives forever. When Mark woke up, he didn't know how much time had passed. The small fire had burned low, and the cave wall still gave off a soft blue glow. His arm was wrapped neatly in thick leaves that smelled clean and earthy. For a moment he thought he was back on Earth, but the sight of the tall alien woman sitting silently near the entrance reminded him where he was. Rukai sat with her back to him, sharpening her blade. Her long hair shimmered faintly in the dim light. She hadn't spoken since the night before. Outside, the jungle stirred with morning sounds, deep roars, bird-like cries, and the steady rhythm of falling rain. Mark sat up slowly. Thank you, he said. His voice came out weak. She didn't turn. You live. That is enough, she replied. He smiled a little. That's one way to say good morning. Rukai stood and finally looked at him. Her golden eyes glowed faintly. We cannot stay here. My tribe will track the scent. They already know something is wrong. They will find you, he frowned. Why would they care about me? Because you carry my scent, she said quietly. To them, it means bond. It means I broke the rule, Mark blinked. Bond? She nodded once. Among my kind, sharing scent or blood is sacred. It joins lives. It is not meant for outsiders. Mark didn't know what to say. Then I've caused you trouble, he said softly. Rukai looked away. Trouble I gave myself. Come, we move. She handed him a walking stick made from a curved root. Then she led him through narrow tunnels that opened onto a ridge. From there the world stretched wide, forests rolling into mist, and far beyond, dark metal shapes glinting in the sky. Mark squinted. Are those ships? Rukai followed his gaze. Her expression hardened. Zaltar Dominion, she said. Our enemies. They come to burn the land. He felt his stomach drop. Then your people are in danger, she nodded. And you, human. They kill all who are not them. They began moving again, heading toward a signal tower Rukai mentioned, a relic from an older war. If they could reach it, Mark might call for rescue. The path was rough, but Rukai moved with steady grace, helping him climb the sharper rocks. Hours passed. They said little, yet something began to grow between them, quiet understanding. When they stopped to rest, Mark shared his rations. Rukai tasted the dried fruit and made a small sound of surprise. Sweet, she said. Strange but not bad. He laughed softly. First human food review. I'll take it. She tilted her head, not understanding the joke but watching his smile closely. It puzzled her that this fragile being who had fallen from the sky and carried her scent could still laugh in danger. By afternoon, the wind changed. Smoke rose from the horizon. Rakai's ears twitched. They are burning the nests, she said with sudden anger. My people fight. Mark gripped his stick. Then we have to help them. She turned sharply. No, you are not one of us. Maybe not, he said. But the ones who attacked your home would kill my crew too. We have the same enemy. Rakai stared at him for a moment. Her expression softened slightly. You fight with honor, human, very well. We fight together. They moved down into the valley as evening fell. The jungle glowed red from fire and weapons. Alien soldiers in heavy armor marched through the smoke, hunting the remaining tribes. Rakai's eyes filled with fierce light. She whispered a few words in her language, then leapt into the fight. Mark followed, grabbing a dropped energy rifle from the ground. Rakai was a blur of motion, her twin blades cutting through the attackers with precision. Mark covered her from a distance, firing short bursts to drive the enemy back. The air filled with the clash of metal and the hiss of burning trees. One soldier aimed at Rakai from behind. Mark shouted her name and tackled her out of the way just in time. The blast hit the rock where she had been standing. She rolled and struck the enemy down. When she looked back, Mark was lying on the ground, winded but alive. You are foolish, she said breathlessly. He grinned weakly. You're welcome. The battle raged until the last of the invaders fell back toward their landing craft. The surviving tribes emerged from the smoke, scarred, exhausted, but alive. They stared in shock at the human standing beside Rakai. Murmurs spread quickly. One elder stepped forward, his staff glowing with tribal marks. You bring shame, he said to Rakai. You mix your scent with a creature of the stars. Rakai bowed her head. He fought beside us. He saved me. The elder's eyes narrowed. Then his fate is tied to yours. If he stays, both die. Mark stepped forward. If my being here puts her in danger, I'll leave. Rakai looked at him sharply, then back at the elder. No, she said. He carries my scent. He leaves when I say. The elder hesitated. The silence was broken by a deep rumble. The enemy fleet returning. The sky filled with ships descending in formation. Mark turned to Rakai. That tower, can we still reach it? She nodded quickly. If we move now. They ran, chased by thunder and fire. The old tower stood on a cliff overlooking the sea, broken but still alive with faint lights. Mark climbed the metal stairs, his arm aching, while Rakai fought off drones that swooped down from above. Inside, Mark worked on the console, sparks flying as he rerouted power. Come on, he muttered. Just a little more. Outside, Rakai roared a battle cry, cutting through another wave of enemies. She was wounded but refused to fall. Finally, the tower's beacon lit up. A beam of blue light shot into the sky. Mark activated the emergency channel. This is Lieutenant Hale of the Earth Fleet, requesting immediate extraction. The response came seconds later, a human voice crackling through static. Signal received, Lieutenant. Hold position. We're coming. Rakai stumbled into the room, blood streaking her arm. They heard you? He nodded. Yes, help is on the way. She looked toward the horizon. The enemy ships were pulling back as a larger shadow appeared, the human rescue cruiser breaking through the clouds. Light rained down, scattering the Dominion forces. When it was over, the night fell quiet again. The stars shimmered on the water below. Mark turned to her. You saved me twice, Rakai smiled faintly. And you saved me once. We are even. He stepped closer. Maybe not. If your people can't accept me, I could stay and help rebuild. She looked at him for a long moment, then shook her head gently. No, this is not your world. But your scent will stay in the wind. That is enough. Mark nodded slowly. Then I'll remember you every time I smell the rain. Rakai gave a soft laugh, the first real laugh he had heard from her. Strange human, she whispered. She placed her hand over his heart, the same place she had clawed before. Now we are both marked. Moments later, the rescue team arrived. As Mark climbed aboard the transport, he looked back one last time. Rakai stood on the cliff, her hair blowing in the night wind, golden eyes bright against the darkness. When the ship rose into the sky, she whispered something in her own language, a blessing meant only for warriors who had earned her respect. The next morning, her tribe found her staring at the horizon. The elder approached. The human is gone, he said. Yes, she replied softly, but the bond remains. Far above the clouds, Mark watched the planet fade behind him. The scent still clung faintly to his armor. Spice, smoke, and something like home. He smiled to himself. Across the stars, an alien huntress did the same. And though they came from different worlds, both knew that the strange bond formed in that wild jungle would never fade.